Hey guys, today I thought that I would talk you through how to really get a grade 9 at GCSE, because some of the videos that I see or stuff like that, I'm thinking you don't really need that to get a grade 9, or really this is how you should get a grade 9. Now obviously if you're getting told by your teachers to do things, then I would follow what they say because they're teachers, they're there for a reason. Today I thought that I would just run through how I got a grade 9 at GCSE, the things that you have to do, and just break it down. GCSE Art by far was the hardest GCSE I took, and I didn't take it for A level because it was so freaking hard. Like, it was the most stress I've ever been under, ever. I'm pretty sure, like, it just wasn't a great time. However, if you have taken it and you're thinking, oh my god, how am I going to do this? That was exactly how I was feeling, and I still managed to get an A star or a 9. I did do the new syllabus, so the grade 1 to 9, but if I refer to an A star, it's just because my mind is still in the old like letter system, even though all of my GCSEs were basically 1 to 9. Don't ask. Anyway, I just wanted to say you don't have to be naturally good. I personally wasn't naturally talented. I think I'm quite a creative person but not naturally talented at art, because I found my year 8 book and look at one of the watercolour paintings that I did. Like, it's just not the one. Like, and this is me trying as well. Like, in all of my work I try. Now it's not the worst thing that you've ever seen, but I've got hair in my mouth. It's just not like GCSE standard. Obviously I was in year 8, so I was a bit younger, but to go from that to my work now, and I did that under, like, even in year 9 my work was still like that, so in under 6 months I managed to get to a grade 9 level. I'm just going to put it simply, you get marked under 4 AOs. So you get marked under AO 1, 2, 3 and 4, and I'm just going to run through each one and what you have to do, and I'll give you some examples in my book just so that you can see how it is, because I do get a couple of Instagram DMs like, can you send me what you said about this artist, blah blah blah, and to be honest I just send everything that they could need. Like, literally they'll be like, can you just like tell me what you said in this paragraph? I'm like, honestly, have my whole artist research, because you do not deserve the pain of trying to find out that information. So AO1 is basically artist research, writing about your work, just seeing that you have good and analytical skills. For this it basically just means artist research, mind maps. So a good background, I would say, is essential. Our teacher used to say, do not leave any white spaces. To be honest, I couldn't agree more, because white spaces basically just make the book, like the presentation of the book, not look that nice. And although it's not essential, I'm pretty sure that if your layout looks nice and your writing's not really big, because you don't need to make your writing big to look like you've written a lot, just honestly, teachers know that if you make the writing big, it's just because you haven't written much. I'm pretty sure the examiner doesn't even read what you write. Like, I'm pretty sure they might read the first few sentences and then they're like, meh. If it's a good background, you know, a good layout, then it's fine. My tips for a good background are, find the colour scheme that's in the artist that you're looking at, and just try and keep that theme over a double page spread, because I find that that's the easiest way to do it. So for example, if the artist does watercolours, just do a watercolour background, and you can just use different media in the background, so ripped paper, paint, anything really. Don't spend ages on it, literally 5 minutes will be enough, but just don't worry about it too much, but just don't leave white spaces because it just doesn't look good. This is a really quick example. So I did Shepherd Fairy for my, was it my year 11 coursework? I can't remember, but if you see, he's just got blue and red all in his what are they called, images. So I just did a blue and red background, and honestly this wouldn't have taken me more than 5 minutes. All you have to do is get red and blue acrylic and just scrape it like along the background. It's really quick. I didn't spend that long on my backgrounds. This is another example. When I went to go and visit the Saatchi gallery, we had to do like a writing about what we found out and stuff like that. So I just ripped up all of the pieces of like paper, you know, you get books in the gallery. I ripped up them, tissue paper, just anything I could find and stuck that as the background. And then sometimes I would just do like maps in the background. So, oh, Scrabble piece just fell down. I'd do maps as the background and I just like mix it up. To be honest, the examiner just wants to see like something a bit more original because they have to look through loads of books. For artist research, there are key things that you should try and include. So I've written them down here. So first of all, you need to talk about who they are, but don't talk about like if they've got any cats or dogs. Don't talk about when they were born. Anything not relevant to their art, don't talk about, but maybe you could just say they're a graphic artist from America, and then you need to describe what the piece is. Literally describe it as if the person's never seen the piece before. Describe the composition, colour, shape, light, tone, line, pattern. I think that's it. I'm trying to look in my book to see if that's all I wrote about. And then also include your response to the work. So did you like this work? How it's going to help you in your work to move on, blah blah blah. And then also talk about the media that they used, basically what they used to make it, and the meaning behind the piece. Now meaning is quite a big thing. I feel like that was drilled into me when we were doing GCSE art. Basically just have a meaning behind anything, and if you don't have a meaning, make one up. Like, it's really not that hard. I remember I was doing Marmite and my teacher was like, you're gonna have to find a meaning. I was like, how do I find a meaning out of a Marmite jar? But nevertheless, I did. I said something like, people love it and hate it, blah blah blah. AO2 and AO3 I'm gonna put together because I kind of sort of can't tell the difference. I could tell the difference when I was back at school, but I can't remember now. So the first thing that I want to talk about is transcriptions. Now transcriptions are where you copy the artist's work and you just do another one. So for example, let's just find a transcription that I did. This one here is a transcription. It's Sarah Graham's artwork, and then I just basically painted her work. So I painted it all myself, but I copied what she'd done, if you know what I mean. So this I actually found easier because they've picked all the colours for you. It's all done. You don't have to think about what it's going to look like from a photo to a painting because that is the painting. And then there's also a Witso, which is a work in the style of. So basically you take a picture. You have to take your own pictures if you want to get a good mark in GCSE because, I don't know, but there's just some reason why you have to take your own photos. So try and do projects where you can take photos easily. You don't have to be a brilliant photographer, just get a decent photo. So for work in the style of, this was mine. I took this photo, I just got a load of sweets, took a photo, and then I painted that. And I tried to keep it in the same style as the artist above. So I did that for all of my artists. I would do a transcription and then a Witso. And the Witso, I would use the same or a very similar media to what they use. A top tip that I have is that you can trace if you want. Like literally the teacher said that it's fine to trace. I know a lot of people do that thing where they like split it all into squares, but that takes so much longer, and when you're under like a time pressure it's just easier to trace. So what you can do is print out the picture in the same size as what you're going to draw and then stick it up against the window and just trace over it that way, or you can get it up on your laptop and trace it that way. But so many people I know traced, and our teachers knew that we did it. They like let us do it at the side of the classroom, so I'm pretty sure like it's definitely allowed. That's what I'm trying to say. Also, you get all of your proportions correct the first time. If your proportions are right, then your painting or whatever you're doing is going to look way better. And the next part, I think this is AO3, experiments are one of the most important bits in your book. Like you have a whole section for experiments. So after I do the transcription and the Witso, then I do the experiments. Now, for the experiments, they just like you using different media, different processes, different techniques, anything like that they like. It doesn't even matter if they look shit. I'm not gonna lie, towards the end of my book my experiments weren't that great, because if they look bad you just say this didn't work out because I'm not gonna do this for my final piece because blah blah blah. This did work better though, and honestly it's way easier. Just do a few shit ones, it's actually easier to talk about them. I'm just going to run through a list of them because I can't be bothered to remember them. So there is oil, pastels, watercolour, acrylic, different techniques, so you can like make the acrylic thicker or thinner, blah blah blah, water it down. Biro, string, oil paint, ink pen with water. So basically you draw the outline in the ink pen, then you brush water over it. A tea stain background, pencil, colouring pencil, lino, charcoal. Once I literally painted on a rock, so you can basically get away with doing anything. Just do like the main ones first and then do like 2 kind of random ones. Here is an example of my experiment page. So this is actually quite a simple one. I did an observation on this side, but this side is just where I did the experiments. What I did for this one was I got one of his images, then split it into 6 boxes, and did a different media in each one. So this one's biro, that's watercolour, charcoal, colouring pencil, acrylic and oil pastel. Next we had to do observations. Now I didn't actually do enough observations to get full marks the first time, so what I had to do was go back and do more observations. But observations are basically, they can be still life drawings, which is where you draw from the object in front of you. And they can also be like small drawings, just make sure they're relevant to your work. So these are a page of observational drawings. So I've got Skittles in colouring pencil. The door's making banging noise. I've just got starbursts. You get the idea. Tonal drawings are quite important because the examiner likes it. The first top tip I have for observational drawings is put the image that you're copying in as big as what you're drawing, so it's all the same proportions. I would also say if you're going to do a tonal drawing, put the picture that you're drawing from in black and white first, because it will make your life so much easier. You don't have to think about what colour's darker than the other because you can clearly see it on the black and white thing. The next tip I have for tonal drawings is draw your darkest tones on the image first, and then if you think they're dark, do it even darker, because having dark tones makes your image so much better. And then add in the other shades and then rub out any highlights that you need, and it will just make your tonal drawing look a lot more 3D, not as like washed out and grey. Then after all of this, you have to annotate your experiments or your observational drawings. Just say what went well, what didn't, what you can improve and how this impacted your work and what you're going to do next. Yeah, so just say this didn't go quite as I planned because of this. I'm not going to use this in my final piece because blah blah blah. Basically the whole way through your book you're just trying to show a journey. If you have a clear journey throughout your book or a clear theme, then you're gonna score more highly on that. AO4 is presentation and your final piece basically. For your final piece you'll want to do a background ideas thing and also a composition ideas. So let me see if I've got an example in this book. Here's another experiment page that I did. What am I trying to look for? Composition. This is my composition page for my final piece. Compositions I just did the rule of thirds, the rule of odd and even, golden triangle, simplistic and space, and that for me was enough. Just show that you know different compositions, that you've thought about that for your final piece, and also that you've thought about the background that you're going to do for your final piece. Different backgrounds are just like ripped up bits of paper, tea background, like all the typical backgrounds. If you can't think of any, look on Pinterest, because if you just search up GCSE Pinterest, a lot of things come up, or you can check out the video where I go through my sketchbook because you can see a lot clearer my backgrounds. You'll have to do 3 to 4 practice final piece ideas. So you do like idea 1, idea 2, etc. And for this you just want to show that you've thought about your idea, you've developed it, so you'll do refinements on your idea so that you develop it further. Even if you know what your final piece is going to be, make sure that you do other final piece ideas and just say, oh, this one worked out the best, even if you were going to pick it before. I know it's really weird, but that's how examiners like it. They like to see that you've made a journey, you've refined it, and then you've reached your end goal. Make sure your final piece is meaningful. Even if it doesn't have a meaning, make up a meaning. Finally, for your final piece, you are allowed to trace onto like a canvas for your final piece, and you're allowed to prepare, well basically in the like thing that the teachers get. It says that students are allowed to prepare. So our teachers said that we were allowed to trace our outlines before the thing, and some people were allowed to do their background if it meant that they couldn't paint on top of it. For example, like if it wouldn't be dry in time, then they could do it before. I think that is everything that I have to tell you. I've tried to answer as many questions that I normally get. Usually I just get people that are like, do you mind sending me what you wrote about this? And I'm like, yeah, sure, have it. Like, it's not going to impact me in any way, it's just going to make their day. I hope I've helped some of you by doing this video. I just thought that I would answer any questions that I usually get, and also if any of you guys are starting GCSE and you wanted to know what it's like, a few tips. It's not going to be the easiest thing, but in the end you'll probably produce some work that you're quite proud of. Thank you so much for watching this video. Please give it a thumbs up if you liked it, and I'll see you all soon.